This is multi-camera filmmaking. I'm Elmer Howard, director, producer. Brett Bays, cinematographer and producer. And it's just not for TV and live broadcasting anymore. And why do I film in two cameras? It actually all started with a short I filmed in Phoenix called Loving Martin when I brought Brett in to be my cinematographer. And with 26 pages and 2.5 days and small budget, he recommended using multiple cameras. And we shot on two Blackmagic pocket cinema cameras. And I liked the process so much and saw how much it saved us time, money, and just saved the movie in general of getting enough coverage to help us in editing. I decided that when I shot in Portland, Maine in August of this year, we also, as you can see, decided to use two cameras on that shoot as well. And I'm really happy about that decision.
I shoot multiple cameras depending on what the project calls for. In this case, we were crunched for time, still crunched for time, even though we shot in 3 days at the project we just shot in Maine. So we chose both to go with two cameras on this shoot. And then the Loving Martin, just trying to shoot 26 pages in 2 days, was multiple cameras were needed for that.
Some logistics we're going to go over during this presentation, four in particular. Camera placement. You want to make sure you're optimizing your coverage. Lighting. Need more pre-lighting. Think lighting for a play or a sitcom. Blocking. You got more time and planning needed for blocking your actors. And matching the cameras depending on your budget. The best option is going to make sure you use the same make and model. For camera placement, you want to optimize coverage. So I heard a story of somebody who had 3 cameras and they didn't do any shot lists, and they ended up letting them just shoot whatever, kind of the cameraman just kind of go rogue. And of course, when they went in the editing room, they had a hard time putting anything together. So always make sure that you are, doing your shot list, getting what you need for the coverage for the actual to create your film.
And yeah, the camera placement is key, especially a shot list. You definitely need to have a shot list if you're going to use multiple cameras. As far as optimizing coverage, always you can do the norm, which is, get your establishing shot first, and then you can mix it up doing close-ups and medium shots and vice versa on projects like this, which are kind of heavy and talky.
And this is also on Kings and Queens, shot in Portland, Maine. As you can see here, Brett's running one camera who's focusing on our lead actress. The other camera, which you can't see in this frame, is off the rails to the right, capturing our supporting actress. And so in that one scene, we were able to get 2 close-ups. In terms of your lighting, rig like a TV set or a play, rig from above, use existing lighting sources if necessary. This is your forte, Brett, so I'll let you speak more on this one.
Yeah, as far as lighting goes, especially in this scene here, you want to focus on, with multiple cameras, you want to focus on lighting the world, which is great if you're doing 360 lighting. It's also great if you have a lot of camera movement, either panning or if you're on a steady cam or a gimbal, something like that. And in this scene, you see one light here in the corner. It's a light mat. I think it's light mat 4. We have practicals to the left of the frame here, and then we also have one more light actually bouncing off the ceiling to the far right in the other corner there that we don't see in frame. And in this case, we just wanted to keep the night shot, bring up a little ambience, and make it different than some of the other locations because we were using same locations for this scene, which was supposed to be a different location in the short. So that's why we lit it this way.
And what you can see here from the camera that's at the bottom of the frame, it's capturing the actress in the chair, and it's a wide shot. It might be a 2-shot or a 3-shot. It's hard to say. I think they had all 3 in it. And the camera off to the right is a 2-shot of the 2 actors on the couch. And we shot this in 4K, so it allowed us to not only get these two shots and wide shots, we were able to punch in a little bit. And I was able to get a two shot from a different angle. So we had two different angles of two shots of these same actors. Or I could also punch in and we have a close up on the single actor.
And again, this just saves us time for coverage. That's why we shot it that way with the 4K and the medium wide shots.
And in terms of blocking, make sure you're paying attention to how you block your actors, especially if you're trying to capture, from two different cameras. There's the shots that you want to use in the coverage. If you got movement happening, to be aware of the camera placements and the lights. In that last scene we had up on the slide, when the actress moved from the chair to the couch to replace the actor, she had to keep sitting forward because our other actress sat back, and if she also sat back, she actually blocked her light coming from one of the lamps.
And with camera blocking, we may not always get a chance to do what we want, especially as a cinematographer. And that's just because we have to be based off the vision of the director. Every director is different. Every director I've worked with is different. So in this case here, Elmer, the director, let us kind of go with the flow and get the coverage we needed, but we ended up running into our issue, which was the lighting issue. Which we worked around. We figured out the actor's placement to work around it. You don't always get that chance, especially in a professional film set. So that was a different experience here. On a professional film set, you may never get that opportunity, and it actually may be more fluid, less lighting, which means it's just get up and go 2 or 3 takes and then move on. And so you're at the whim of the director at that point.
Cameras, if you're on a small budget film, especially doing student films, the best thing to save time and money, especially in post, is to use the same camera bodies. And I'll let you talk a little more about the lenses and such.
Yeah, you don't always need to use the same camera bodies, but it is recommended for time saving. The big thing you have to match is format. Obviously, your aspect ratio, whatever aspect ratio you're deciding to shoot in, and then format. So for this feature, this short film, we use ProRes 4444, and that just made it easier on our editor to edit on an Apple computer. And it's been my experience that lenses tend to be the big difference. So if you see in this picture here, we have the Cinema Sigma lens with the Canon, the big honking white Canon 70-200. The 70-200 will definitely be a little bit more warmer than any of the other glass we have sitting there. So that can be a problem, but we shot in a format that is flat, like a vlog. I think it was, since ProRes is pretty flat and we kept the picture pretty flat, it'll be easier for editor to match color grading. As far as if you're shooting on your own project, I don't recommend shooting RAW unless you have the space. Otherwise, ProRes is fine, and it's great deliverable for your editor.
Cost increase and downsides to shooting with multiple cameras. More money is needed, as you saw on the last frame, all that gear. We needed, besides also the extra camera is going to cost more money. You need more time for setups, which also can lead to more money, needing more days. Sometimes an actor or an actress can become worn or exhausted because they're the main focus with every take instead of playing off the actor who's in camera. They're both in camera or all are in camera at the same time. So they'll really need to be on because we're capturing all of the actors at the same time. Some directors can find it difficult to direct or in focus on multiple cameras and actors at the same time. I have a different working agreement with Brett, which is, this is our second feature, and I really saw how well he did on the second film. I saw how well he did on the first short, that on this one I would walk on the set when he was set up, and he would just tell me where to go stand, because I knew, I could see what was getting covered, but I knew that I wanted to make sure we were getting what we needed. So I wasn't going to sit there and say, no, I need to be standing here, or I need to be, looking at this. If he was like, this is where you're out of camera and out of light, and you can see this camera, just watch that. I did it and trusted him, and I was able to direct. Some directors don't even look at the camera. They just focus on the actors themselves. So it all depends on your shooting style and, of course, the cinematographer's relationship with the director.
Yeah, and just to give a little more info on that, so you're especially going to have a lot more cost in gear rental, and that's from a producer standpoint. So any kind of pre-lighting that a gaffer needs to do, or any kind of extra days you have to rent a location for, or extra days you have to rent anything, it's gonna cost quite a bit more. But that's the cost of saving time is what you're doing.
So examples of editing using two cameras. This is also from Kings and Queens, our short film we just did. And this is the same scene, two different cameras, one looking into the bathroom on our lead actress, the other camera in the bedroom, looking at the two supporting actresses coming in. And what this allows you to do and when you're editing is, you can have a seamless transition. So I used the same exact take from the two different cameras when I threw this together really quickly. And so when I switched from that camera, camera A to camera B, it's the same motion because it's the same exact take. So it makes editing easier and also more realistic, if you're under the gun, to have this extra coverage, because then you're not trying to piece together and make the scenes look seamless.
And yeah, so the edit here was pretty easy. And then from a cinematographer standpoint, I saw the need for these kinds of shots. And I mean, because you could set this up in multiple different ways, and I just decided I'm still following the 180-degree rule here, but some people would just get a close-up of the two walking in versus the wide and the medium wide shot there. So it just made it easier to play with it, and it also makes it easier in the edit to do the cut, and then it also makes it easier for the editor to punch in if she needs to in this case.
Example of a good use of multiple cameras. And I'm going to let Brett speak on this. He has more knowledge of Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah, so Akira Kurosawa decided to use multiple cameras for the film High and Low, mainly due to his star, Toshiro Mifune. He wanted to really get Mifune out of the samurai genre, and this was his opportunity to do that with him, and he really wanted to show his skills on a more of a play, like a stage setup. And in this case, Akira Kurosawa's High and Low, they actually recreated Yokohama, the prefecture of Yokohama, on a soundstage as almost exact replica in a smaller space. And this condo was actually like an apartment built in Yokohama, and it was just strictly to make it more like a play or a stage and light it so that you can do these weird camera movements, dolly movements around the stage, and sort of get everybody in there and make sure Mifune got his star, his acting role that he always wanted.
An example of some bad uses of multiple cameras.
So it's not necessarily bad use, but I do have a story working on this film, Transformers Last Night, because they were shot part of it here, or one scene here down in Phoenix, Arizona. And I walked on set with a friend of mine. We were going to get some gear, and we walked by DIT, the digital image technician. And when we walked on set, we looked over, and they were on camera roll. I think it was camera A and B, XZ and XY were that they were just downloading for the day. So that's not including all the rest they had to do. On that particular scene, it was a car crash scene. He had upwards of 27 cameras on set. And that's just because it saves costs when you're doing a big action scene like that. But for someone like me, a movie-going experience, a car crash can take 10 seconds, but for Michael Bay, it's going to be a 3-minute experience. And that's kind of his vision when he does these things. Not bad, not good, but it's also not bad.
So just to recap, you can shoot movies with multiple cameras. It's currently my still go-to right now. However, just know that you need to spend extra time plotting your lighting, blocking talent and cameras. Make sure you get the right kind of coverage, and as Brett will elaborate, definitely on just time with locations.
Yeah, lots of money spent on time, but just if you're going to shoot multiple cameras, remember as a director of photography, as a cinematographer, and as a director and a producer to always have a shot list or a storyboard or both. Both help tremendously, but a shot list is even better. So just remember to have those things when you're getting ready to do something like this.
And we want to thank the Maine Student Film Festival for allowing us to present, and that's uh, shooting film with multiple cameras.
Thank you, Maine International Student Film Festival.